Hello and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. Here's an example. Last time I was talking about lighthouses, and the last story that I shared was Elizabeth Coatsworth, the Lighthouse Island, and on that rocky outcropping there were puffins and terns nesting. Now, if someone were to show me a group of pictures of birds, some birds I could identify right off. I say that's a such and such. Other birds, I don't know. And that's about my extent of knowledge about birds. I would be able to say that's a picture of a puffin and recognize that because they're so iconic, really. But do I know anything about them other than their name and that I could identify a picture of them? I guess I could identify them as a bird watcher, but do I know anything about them? And then I would say very, very little, if anything at all. So that's a bad admission to be as old as I am and to know so little about the natural life on the planet. I want to share some things about the puffin in this video. I'm going to start with lighthouses. I'm going to start with lighthouses because the geography around many lighthouses is ideal for nesting birds, in particular puffins. In the case of puffins, they don't really nest as we often think of nests. They live in a burrow under where there's soil. Now, lots of lighthouses were built where it's rocky, and this is a watercolor. I mean, it looks like a photograph. It looks so amazing. This is a watergraph of Numble Light, and you can tell it's out on a point of land, rocky, twisted rocky ledges, and some grassy areas here. Now, for the puffin, they can't burrow into the rocks. They burrow into soil that builds up between rocks, and sometimes in open field areas. Now, I just think that's an amazing painting. And I should tell you who this painter is, this watercolorist, Doug, B-R-E-G-A, Briga. And I have another picture, which is a photograph. And this is by Joseph S-O-H-M, Vision of America. And again, you can see off in the distance a rocky outcropping points where they want to have a lighthouse there because the ships may run too close to the land there. Beautiful photograph. Whew. Just catches light and could easily be a painting. Thinking of lighthouses, I remembered two descriptions of bird watchers in this book. that were doing their bird watching at lighthouses. The Bird Watchers Anthology is a thick book. It's by Robert Torrey Peterson. He didn't write the whole book. It's an anthology, so a lot of other people, but he's had to do a lot of reading and digging to find these selections that he's chosen. Now, the ones about the lighthouses appear in a section of the book called Migrations, and in this case, the people are in Europe at lighthouses, one in England and the other more toward Scandinavia. And the one in England is actually written by Roger Torrey Peterson. He fills the book with 50 beautiful pen drawings. Just, they look like etchings, or they're beautiful. And one color painting. And the color painting is on the title page. I'll show it to you. It's a picture, a painting of 7 puffins. And so Roger Torrey Peterson must have a certain attachment for these amazing birds to make them the only one that he paints. Of course, they are colorful, and we'll talk about that. I'd like to talk about that in a little bit, because some things I learned that I didn't know before. Now, the 2 lighthouses, the people viewing from them are amazed to see migratory birds at night, which they wouldn't normally see so clearly because of the light. Now, birds migrating during the evening and night hours are navigating by the moon, by the stars, and they're very good at it. To have a lighthouse with its bright light beaming around and around throws the birds into a bit of a panic. They come across those lighthouses, and invariably that's not good. So, lighthouses. Now, rocky coastlines, books that young people might enjoy. Well, the first book is called Sea and Estuary Birds. It's a lady bird book. People in England call a lady, what we would call ladybug, they call it a ladybird. There's an example of the ladybug, ladybird, sort of a trademark. This is a small book. It's a series. They've done, hundreds of natural science things. And it looks like maybe 536 different books. These are ones all on nature. And so it's really quite a, sometimes they'll show 3 birds on a page with a little bit about each. Here's the ruddy knot, or red knot, and that's the bird that is a great migrator, the one that leaves from northern Canada, makes its way down and crosses over the Gulf of Mexico and down along the coast of South America all the way to Tierra del Fuego. And it nests and lives there and feeds there for half the year. And when that starts to get fall in the southern half of the globe, it's a signal to head back north, where it will meet spring in our north. Neat bird. All these birds are seabirds. Here's the oyster catcher and the turnstone. And so they're nice illustrations, and you can easily identify from them. Here's some terns. Here's a razorbill and a guillemot. These two birds belong to the auk family, which includes the little auk, the puffin, and two other kinds of guillemot. It doesn't include the great auk. It is now extinct and has been for some long time. I've shared that book with you. It's a fascinating book. And they are water birds which don't fly, spend their most of the year in the water fishing, living pretty much a solo kind of life. Then some inner clock tells them it's time to return to the place they were born. And they set off for the place they were born and meet up with others who were born at that time. And in the northern hemisphere, some will meet in Europe, some will meet on the east coast of North America, and returning to their natural place, where they will find a mate. They do this after they've been out on their own for a couple of years. And from then on, the pair of them will return there, find each other, find their old burrow in most cases, and lay one egg. That's called putting all your eggs in one basket. One egg. It's not like a bird, songbird might have a clutch of 4 or 5 eggs and maybe even have another later on in the summer, and could even have a third, depending on food conditions and things like that. One egg, and that's their sole laying, and the takes quite a long time for that egg to hatch. Now the egg, this shows what nice little thing in the front that shows eggs, and the egg is it's a normal egg shape, not like the guillemot, for example, which lays it often on rock ledges, and so that it doesn't roll off. It tends to, if it's blown or moved, the way it's shaped, bigger at one end and narrow at the other, it rotates around in a circle. Solutions come up with over time. Bills, feet, let's see. I was going to see if I can find the puffin. Here's the puffin. notice the similarity of the white breast and black back. White breast and black back. The same with the puffin. Now, why? Well, I never thought to ask why. I just thought, oh, that's the coloration. But they've, in time, have come up with something. If they're going to be in the water all 10 months, and or going out to get fish when their young is hatched, or even before the young is hatched, going out to get fish for them to share, the black back, if it's a predator birds, and there's lots of them, won't detect it nearly as easily as they would a white back, say. And when they're in the water, a white breast, if you're a fish or something from down below, and you look up, you see the sky above, it's light. Well, instead of being a dark shape, it's white, and it blends in with the sky. So that's, so let's see. Now, where is it? This tells a little bit about where it is. It comes to land only to breed, which it does in huge numbers in colonies at many sites from the Isle of Wight round the southwest and the western coast, this is of the British Isles, and as far up as Shetland. The nest is in a burrow, sometimes that of a rabbit, and one egg is laid. Risky, but it's working. This book is called Our Wildlife World. That's a series. Puffins is the title. This is a series that took over a series. This by Elizabeth McLeod. And the series was, I used to have lots of them in the class, getting to know ... whatever the animal was, nature's children. And more detail, more information. And it's, well, I think it's got some things I just want to share with you. First of all, fish lovers, obviously. They're not going to be seed eaters or anything like that. It's eating fish. And puffins dine upon crab. That would be shorelines, I'm assuming. Plankton, squid, and fish with smelt, herring, cod, and sand eels being their favorites. And here's its beak, this picture. It's got probably half a dozen in its beak. It's been known to have as many as 40. There's even somebody's got a record that they've spotted and seen. And so small fish. And how does it do that? How does it manage to keep and fly with these wiggling spaghetti things in its mouth? Well, when it is underwater looking for the fish, it uses its head, and it gets it this way, going this way, gets it that way, and it sorts it that way, and there's spines on its tongue that point backwards, and the upper part of its beak, spines on it. One source said they were serrated, and pointing back. And that helps hold these fish in. Here it says, once its beak is filled, the puffin flies up out of the water to a nearby cliff or island to feed its young. Well, that's something I want to talk about in the next video. The nearby aspect. Of course, for the 10 months that the puffin is on its own, the male is off there and the female's off there until their clocks tell them it's time to go back. And then they see each other, they can recognize each other, they can talk to each other, and they pair off again. They are faithful for life. There are, of course, occasions when one of the mates does not return because it's been killed, and a new mating takes place then. But pretty amazing. But when they're out there alone, they don't bother to have to carry and fly things back. They just swimming and they eat right there. Down it goes, one at a time. This beak business, though, are useful for a lot more than catching and carrying food. During the mating season, they come in handy as shovels or chisels to dig burrows in hard earth. Sometimes the earth isn't hard, but and they can also be used as pliers to remove rocks from burrows. Sometimes these rocks weigh twice as much as the puffin. Puffins also use their beaks to attract a mate. Most of the year, this is unbelievable, the beak is small and dull gray-brown color. During the breeding season, however, the bill grows a brightly colored sheath that makes it twice its usual size. So this is the sheath. After the mating season, this brilliant sheath falls off in sections. Now, I'm saying to myself, I didn't have any inkling of any of this before. And here's a little bit more. Just like the puffin's beak, its feet become very colorful during the mating season. They turn from brownish green to bright red to help the puffin look its best to attract a mate. Amazing. Well, I want to share just a couple of more things here. And next video, I want to share books that I think adults would enjoy reading. But somewhere I've got something here. The puffin spends much of the year in the ocean, diving and swimming, thanks to its short wings, quite speedily to catch its food. So it just has these short wings. It's not got big long wings that would just be awkward and create a lot of drag. Whereas the flightless penguin has a layer of fat that keeps it warm in cold waters. The puffin flies and couldn't with the weighty fat layer. So if it's going to also be able to fly, to have fat to help keep it warm, that's not going to be the answer. So puffins are constantly preening their feathers which lock together to form a lightweight, waterproof, warm quilt for on the surface and for its dives. It swims underwater, sometimes to depths of 60 meters. That's like diving 200 feet. And stays under for 20 to 30 seconds on average. And sometimes for a minute. So those longer dives, the deeper dives, they're obviously harder on it. And it comes up, bobs around on the water, and it gets back, it gets its second wind, and off it goes again. And so, until next time, thanks for watching, and bye for now.